a new form. So we've done slope-intercept form, right? Slope-intercept was the y equals mx plus b. Stop throwing things, Andrew. Then we did standard form. That's ax plus by equals c, okay? Today we're going to focus on point slope form for a bit. Do you remember this one?
Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1?
Yes. Did you just do that off the top of your head, or you just saw it somewhere?
No, I know it.
For real? Wow, good work. Okay, so point slope form looks like this. It's y minus, gentlemen, quit it. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, okay? So what is m? What's m? That's your slope. Okay, m is your slope, and then you have a point, x1, y1. Okay, that's going to be your point in the problem. So it is point slope form. You have a point, you have a slope. So here's what you're going to do. Example 1. They will say a line passes, I need a new pen, through the point 2, -3 with a slope of 4. Okay? They're going to say write the equation of that line. And here's what you have to make sure of with this form. The form itself uses subtraction, right? It's y minus y1 and x minus x1. So if we're subtracting a negative, what are we actually doing? Adding, okay? So just pay attention to that. This would be your x1 and y1 for the problem. So if we're going to plug it into this form up here, it's going to be y minus that -3. So y minus a -3 is going to become y plus 3, okay? Then it's times the slope, so the m comes next. What is your m?
4.
That's the 4. And then times x plus or minus 2? Minus 2. Okay, so the simplest form is if we do plus a positive here, so it'd be y plus 3 equals 4 times x minus 2. Okay, questions on that?
Wait, is that like the final?
That would be your answer if they say, yeah, give me point slope form of the equation. Where is my other pen? Do you want another one of those? Same format?
Wait,
I would say, yeah.
Are you saying yeah because you are listening to me right now, or yeah because you just want to say yeah? Do you actually need it?
I'd like it.
Oh, okay. That's fine. But usually you're just off in your own little homework land while I'm teaching, so that's not a bad thing. If you can maintain the grade, I don't care if you're doing homework. Okay, so say you have the point -5, 2, and your slope is 3/5. Give me your equation. Y what? Y minus 2, right? You're subtracting, equals 3/5 times x plus 5. It's x minus a -5 is x plus 5. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so that's the first type of problem you're going to see. The second type takes a little extra work on the front end because you don't have the slope, so you need to find the slope first, but then it's the same idea. So let's say I just give you 2 points now. I give you 3, 2, and 5, 8. Okay, the form is point slope. We have plenty of points. We don't have a slope. How do you find a slope if you have 2 points? It's the thingy. x1, y1, x2, y2. You're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? Slope formula. So it's going to be 8 minus 2 over 5 minus 3. So 8 minus 2 is 6. 5 minus 3 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that's your m, okay? That's your slope. Now to put it into point slope form, you would, I forget if they want point slope here. Yes. You pick a point, and it doesn't matter which point, you just need to pick one. So your two options for answers here, don't give me both, just pick one. If I pick this point, the 3, 2, it would be what? Y, right, 3 being this 3 right now, and then x minus this 3. Okay, so that's one option in point slope form. Your other option is you could have used the second point, and then it would have been y minus 8 equals 3 times x minus 5. So pick one. I don't need both. It's just extra work for you to give me both. Okay? Do you want another of those? You okay on that? Yeah.
Can you remind me again why we have a y minus 2 and a y minus 8?
Because there's 2 points. So if you used the first point, you would get this equation. If you used the second point, you would get that equation. You just have to give me one. You can pick whichever point you want to use. Okay? Good? Do you want to see another one of those? Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about parallel and perpendicular lines. See if you can remember the rules on these. Okay, parallel lines. What does that mean? What are parallel lines? Those are parallel lines. Do they have to go like this? No, they can go like this. They can go like that, right? We should dance. We'll make a dance party. So parallel, we often mark with 2 slanted lines to show that they're parallel. What you need to know for parallel lines is their slopes are what?
Same.
The same. But because their slopes are the same, that means their y-intercepts have to be different. Because if their slopes are the same and their y-intercepts are the same, what happens?
Same way.
It's the same line. Okay, so on a graph, it might look something like this. Okay, different y-intercepts, but their rise over run is the same. Okay. Perpendicular lines, the symbol that we use for perpendicular is that upside down T. For this one, their slopes, does anyone remember what their slopes do? Yes. Did you like read the lesson, or are you just on it right now? Oops.
I just remember this lesson.
That's impressive, Sam. So their slopes here, you must have had a really good geometry teacher that like taught you all about this. No, geometry teacher.
Oh, I don't remember learning this
What?
geometry.
Stop it.
I don't remember geometry.
Sad.
I remember algebra.
Sad day. Okay, so your slopes are opposite reciprocals. That means that if your slope is A over B, optimizing memory usage. I don't know what that was. If your slope is A over B, then the slope of the line perpendicular would be negative, and then flip it, B over A. Okay? If my slope was a negative 2/3, for instance, what's the slope of the line perpendicular to it? Positive 3 over 2. If my slope was 8, what's the slope of the line perpendicular to it? Negative 1 over 8. Okay? So it's going to look something like this. where you have a 90-degree angle. Okay, that's perpendicular. Questions on that? All right. So then you're going to have to write this point slope form in slope intercept form. So let me give you a couple problems here. So it'll say, write the equation of the line in slope intercept form. Okay, so first one, I want, what does this symbol mean? Parallel. It's a really bad parallel. Parallel to this equation that goes through the point 1, -3. Okay, parallel to that through the point 1, -3. Now, here's the deal. You have, my app doesn't like me right now. You have an equation in slope intercept form, so that makes finding the slope very simple. What is the slope of the line we want to use? It's going to be 6. Okay, so if I want to be parallel to this, I need the same slope. Okay, my slope is going to be 6, and then I have a point 1, -3. So I can put it right now into point slope form. Now, some of you maybe learned how to do this in slope intercept form right off the bat, where you call this in slope intercept form your y and this your x. I don't care if you do it that way. If you want to start in slope intercept form and solve for b and then plug the slope back in, that's fine. I'm going to show you from point slope right now, but I don't care if you do it the other way. So point slope form would say y what?
Y plus 3.
Right, it'd be y minus a -3 is y plus 3 equals your m, that's your 6, times x minus your x value, which is the 1. Okay, but we want it in slope intercept. How do I get this into slope intercept?
You're gonna have to distribute.
Right, you're going to distribute first. So you get y plus 3, God bless you, equals 6x minus 6. Then what? Then you subtract. You're going to take away the 3, right? We want to isolate the y. So it's going to be y equals, this is 0, 6x, -6 minus 3 is a -9. So your slope intercept form would be y equals 6x minus 9. Okay, so that's if we want the parallel line. But what if we want the perpendicular? So I want perpendicular to y equals -4x, don't do it, plus 2/3 through the point 8,5. Okay, how do I make it perpendicular to this? What do you know about perpendicular slopes?
They're opposite.
Opposite reciprocals. So what's my current slope? -4, okay? If my slope right now is -4, then my perpendicular slope is what?
Positive
1/4, right? Make it positive and flip it over. So this is the slope you're going to be working with this point. Okay, so now we plug that into point slope. Y minus your y value, which is 5, equals 1/4 times x minus your x value, which is the 8. And then same process as before. Turn it into slope intercept, so distribute this. Don't forget to distribute to both. I feel like that's the most common mistake with these. 1/4 times 8 would be 2. And then you're going to add 5 to both sides, and you get y equals 1/4 x plus 3. Any questions on that? We're almost there, guys. One more. All right, last one. This one says, the number of times a cricket chirps. Do we do this in geometry? Do you remember this question? Or is that algebra 1? What?
It's possible.
It's possible. I know I do this in one of my classes. I just don't remember which one. Not this one. The number of times a cricket chirps per minute depends on temperature. This is legit. This is true story right here. So here are the stats. If it's 40 degrees Fahrenheit, there will be 0 chirps.
So if it's cold,
Mm-hmm.
then not.
If it's 93 degrees Fahrenheit, more like today, you will have 240 chirps per minute.
It's gonna be loud.
It's gonna be loud tonight. So if we're gonna call our X our temperature and our Y the number of chirps, okay, your job is to write an equation. So if you think of this as points, right, essentially you have 2 points here. You have an X and a Y and an X and a Y. So you can think of it as these 2 points, 40, 0, and 93, 240. Okay? When you think of it that way, now it's not so bad to write the equation, right? What do you have to find first?
Slope.
The slope.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to use those 2 points to find the slope. If this is x1, y1, and x2, y2, it's going to be 240 minus 0 over 93 minus 40. Okay, so simplify that. You get 240 over 53. We're just going to do an approximation of this because 240 over 53 is not a fun number to work with. So we're going to call that about 4.5. We're going to round. Okay, that's your slope. That's M. So now if I want to know just the equation, we're actually going to write this in all 3 forms because it's good practice to put it into all 3. So let's start with point slope. Which point seems better to work with? I'd pick the first one. You don't have to. You may pick the other one if you want. It's just going to be much bigger numbers. So I would pick this one, which means you have y minus 0 equals 4.5 times x minus 40. Y minus 0 is just y. So in point slope form, it would look like this. Okay, this is point slope form. What if I wanted slope intercept form? What would I do for slope intercept?
We have to.
Just distribute, right? Your y is already isolated, so all you got to do is just distribute this. So that would be y equals 4.5x minus 180. Okay, so that's slope intercept form. How do I make this standard form?
You gotta move the X over.
You gotta move the x over, or you can move the y over and move the 180 the other way. Typically with standard form, it's preferred to have less negatives. but I don't care if you leave it with the more negatives. So if you're gonna move the 4.5 over, you would subtract 4.5 from both sides. So it'd be a negative 4.5x plus y equals negative 180. Okay, so this is standard. Or if you were to move it the other way, it'd basically be saying you could have 4.5x minus y equals a positive 180. Those are the same equation. It's just that we multiplied everything by negative 1, essentially. Okay, I don't care which one of those you give me. Okay, questions on the equations? Okay, last part of the problem then is if it's 70 degrees, how many chirps in a minute? Which equation makes the most sense to use? Slope intercept would be the easiest one. Now in this one, point slope would be just as easy, really. But normally point slope will have a y minus something, not as easy then. So I would plug it in to that. Is this your x or your y? The 70. It's your x, right? The degrees was your x. Okay, so if that's the case, it's going to be y equals 4.5 times 70 minus 180. So plug that in, you get 135 chirps in 1 minute. Okay? Questions on that?